Graffiti Japan! Yeah, all the time me on business. I'm all about my business, but I ain't got no briefcase. Yeah, all I got's some whiskey. Open now the whiskey, bring it to you. Yeah, I'm leaning up against the door, and my feet set to the floor, and we're messing on and go. Yeah, I've been in before. I'm a broken man, needing remedial lands. I'm all about my business. Let me love you till the morning. Let me love you till the morning, yeah.
What's up, faders? Welcome to yet another action-packed episode of Got Faded Japan, and I am your host, Johnny. And as you fine folks know, Got Faded Japan is about two dudes, booze, Japan, and the news. And this is episode number 725. And faders, I got some good news and bad news. And if you're like me, you want to hear the bad news first. Well, the bad news is I'm not drinking booze. Nobody's drinking booze. It's a sober podcast. I'm actually drinking hot coffee. Very delicious hot coffee. And and I do have the news. And the news is not the news of this week. The news is of a legend, a living legend from the United States who's living and thriving in Japan. And that is also the good news, by the way. Faders, it is my great honor, my greatest honor, to be honest, to welcome Enson Inoue to the show. Enson, thank you so much for being here, sir.
Thank you for having me.
This is your second time on Got Faded Japan, and we had a podcast together. We had a lot of fun. I think about 3.5 years ago. Was that about right? I think it was episode 500, maybe 495, something like that. It was a long time ago, but it's basically needed that you came back to the show. It's been too long for you to be on the show. And the last time you were on the show, you were actually in Japan, and we're using Zoom, but now we're using Zoom, but you're not in Japan. Enson, my friend, where are you today?
I'm in Hawaii.
Woo! Hawaii! And you're from Hawaii, right?
Yes, I'm from Hawaii, so it's an interesting dual trip because my parents are getting elderly, so it's nice to always see them and take care of them. And not vacation, I'm here for work.
For work? Who goes to Hawaii for work?
I do.
Oh, no. And may I ask what kind of work you're doing today?
Yeah, I have a Power Stone shop in Hawaii.
Whoa. Nice. Look at that.
Yeah, so I make like Power Stone bracelets.
What? That's incredible.
Yeah, so for example, I don't know if I can turn this camera around, but right here. So this is like orders that I've made.
Nice.
Orders to be made.
Wow, look at that.
And this is like a display table.
Wow. Holy smokes.
Sure.
That's amazing. And which part of Hawaii is your shop in?
This is in Honolulu. It's in a district called Kakako, which is right next to Ala Moana Shopping Center.
Mm-hmm. And what's the name of your shop again?
Destiny Forever.
Destiny Forever. I love it. That's like the best name for a shop. Destiny Forever. It could be any kind of a shop, but it's your shop, and the name is Destiny Forever. That is fantastic, Enson. Wow, that's cool. How long have you been doing this?
I've had this shop for 4 years. I've been doing the business for about 12.
Wow, that's fantastic. And tell me about the business. Do you make the beads, or do you design them?
I make them all.
Make everything.
All the bracelets.
Wow, that is fantastic. And how do you make a bracelet? Like I'm a painter. If you look behind me, I've got some of my artwork that I rock, but I've never made any jewelry. But my grandfather made jewelry. So I've always been interested in making jewelry, but I don't even know where to start.
So I wrap it with, there's those cords that I have from Japan.
Uh-huh, nice.
And I get the beads, and I like for example, you see here, I have all the loose beads that they can pick from.
Mm-hmm.
have engravings of sakura, dragons, Yamato Damashi. Yeah, so and then what the customers do is they come here and they line up their own custom beads, the ones they want, the crystals and the different types of beads.
Wow.
They choose a string color, and I put it together for them.
That is awesome. Oh my God, you put that together for them. So they not only get an amazing piece of jewelry that's meaningful, but a living legend makes it for them and puts it together. Wow, faders. I don't know what you're doing your next vacation, but I'm going to be in Hawaii. I'll be on the beach.
Come on down.
I would love to, man. I would love to. Oh, man. So, okay, for all our new faders and people that haven't watched the last episode or that previous episode that you were on, let's talk a little bit about your history. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So you grew up in Hawaii, and I'm assuming that was in the 70s?
Yeah, I was born in 1967, and I grew up in Hawaii all the way till I was 23 years old.
Cool. Very cool. How was Hawaii back then? Was Hawaii just like very laid back, relaxed, a lot of surfers, or was it more very touristy, or what was like the style back then?
It's real laid back. Not as much big buildings, more rural. It was really nice. Right now, of course, to cater to the biggest industry, which is tourism.
Yeah.
They build a lot of hotels. It's a lot more like a tourist place now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like,
but yeah, it's always has that, the island lifestyle, the laid back, real cruising, real relaxing lifestyle.
So you're from one of the most relaxing and beautiful and just amazing parts of the world. How did you get into fighting?
Well, ironically, in Hawaii, there was a lot of street fights back in my day. Not necessarily so many guns. So a lot of street fights, a lot of stuff was settled on the street in Hawaii. So, I always had that little feistiness in me that, you want to step outside, let's throw down, let's have a little fight, solve it on the street. And, what was helpful was because we had a lot of street fights, I wanted to learn martial arts just to defend myself.
And so you started your career of learning and mastering martial arts in Hawaii?
Yeah, well, it was just for the streets. I never thought I'd be a professional fighter and fight in the ring. And, it just one thing led to another. And I actually went up to Japan for racquetball.
Yeah.
But, I always had that desire to test myself. And I felt that getting in the ring in a hand-to-hand combat with another man would be exhilarating, even to a point where I wouldn't be able to control my emotions. And I was in that mission of learning how to control my emotions. So
wow.
I thought, let's get in the ring once and try it out and, see how I react and see how I can control my emotions. And one fight after another just happened. And all of a sudden it was a career.
And your first real fight you fought with, was it Andre Madras?
No, my first fight was with a pro wrestler called Shigeta Shingo.
You fought a pro wrestler? Wow.
Yeah, luckily, because I wasn't a experienced fighter at all. So having someone that was more, a performer than an actual fighter was actually pretty helpful for me to get the jitters out.
Wow. I've got friends that love pro wrestling, and every so often I'll see a match or a death match in Tokyo. And during kind of the halftime or even after the matches, you can meet the wrestlers and buy some of their merch, which I highly recommend everybody does. It supports them. And the thing is, those guys, when you shake their hands, it's pretty incredible because your hand just disappears. Their hands are big.
They're big. These are boys. Yeah.
Yo, dude, they're big. They're super big. Oh man, I'm a little guy. I know on the YouTubes or whatever, I look pretty cool and tough or whatever, but in real life, no, man, not at all. I'm a nice guy. But oh man, yeah, I love wrestlers. I love MMA. I love all that stuff. It's great. And so you started learning here in Japan, and I think your first match was when you were 27. Is that correct? Your first real match?
Yes. Made my debut at 27.
Man, you know what? When I read that, I was like, dude, that is a whole new definition to this 27 club. because, the 27 Club, a lot of like people, like rock and roll guys, they pass away, right? But not you, man. The 27 Club has been revolutionized where instead of passing away, you thrive. You start kicking butt at age 27. That's what I'm saying.
My life actually started from 27 years old.
And you moved to Japan when you're 27, or?
I moved to Japan when I was actually 23.
When you're 23? Yeah, that's about when I came here, 25, 24, 25. Yeah, wow. It's a good age to come to Japan, I think.
Well, yeah, I think it was just, I actually came for racquetball. So it was actually I never had my life planned out where I would be here this much years. It was pretty much as it came. My life was just like a nice domino that just always fell in the right place. I got really lucky.
That is awesome. That is really cool. Very, very, very cool. Yeah, I guess I could kind of say the same thing to a degree. Interesting. It's funny what happens to you when you're in Japan, especially long term. You came to Japan to play racquetball. Like your brother, he was a professional racquetball player, and were you as well?
Yes, I was, but he went to number one in the world. I was always the scratching and biting, the journey racquetball player. So I never really was really that good, but I did try and hang into the pro tour, but nothing like Egan. Egan was actually the real racquetball player.
Is there any similarities to playing racquetball and fighting in the ring?
Well, I think the only similarity is you have that style of the different. You have the different types of players. Yeah, like for example, you have the aggressive player, you have the defensive player. So you have the different types of players that actually play the sport, and I think your personality kind of comes out on the way you play and the way you retrieve shots or what type of shots you aim for. Mm-hmm. You're either an aggressive player, you're a very moderate defensive player, and I kind of played like the way I fought.
Speaking of fighting and getting into the ring, is there any way to kind of explain the feeling of getting into the ring and having actual fist-to-fist combat with another person?
Well, as you know, the fights are decided ahead of time. So 2 or 3 months before your fight, a guy on the other end of the world is professionally training to beat you or to hurt you.
Yeah.
So as you know, sports alone, there's jitters, there's anxiety. But in fighting, because the objective of the fight is to hurt you, there's a different type of anxiety that really goes into the level of a lot of fear. So, a lot of fighters say they don't feel fear, but I think they're not being honest. I feel a lot of fear. I mean, there's a lot of fear of getting hurt or if you're not a type of fighter that fears getting hurt, you fear losing. Because as you know, fighting is such an unpredictable sport. It can change with one lucky punch. It can, one wrong fall. So there's never an outcome that's guaranteed. So the fear of losing, I think, is a type of fear that's pretty drastic and can create a lot of anxiety.
Wow, I can't even imagine. I mean, the closest I think I could come to is like I was a DJ way back in a different life, when they actually used records and turntables. Yeah, I'm kind of showing my age there a little bit. But it's just getting on stage almost not for the first year or so, getting on stage when you're not great, when you're not even good, but you're decent. Yeah, that's pretty hardcore. And there's people in front of you and they're dancing. If you make one mistake, everybody hates your guts. One little mistake.
I think it's pretty good. You can compare it to something like that, except that there's a little bit of a plus alpha where somebody's trying to hurt you. So the anxiety level goes a little bit higher, but that's pretty much the same type of feeling where you're in front of a crowd, they're all watching you and you're got the pressure of not making a mistake. And, so I think it's about the same thing.
Yeah. I think it's a similar feeling, I guess, but fighting somebody in a ring, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine the anxiety. Like the night before, oh gosh, whenever I have to meet my accountant the night before, I can't even sleep. So I can't even imagine the next day meeting somebody that's going to kick my butt, I probably wouldn't be able to sleep for a month. Oh gosh. Oh my goodness. And you fought, Faders, just in case if you didn't know, You fought in many, many different, I guess, organizations. For example, Pride, Shuto, Vale Japan, and the UFC. Yeah. How was the UFC? I mean, that must have been great.
Well, yeah, the UFC. Well, at the time, it wasn't like it is now. Dana White has created the UFC to be like a pretty amazing sport.
Yeah, it's
but back
great.
in the day, it was a smaller sport. It was considered human cockfighting. It was illegal in most states, so we probably barely made any money.
Oh.
And the UFC that I fought in was UFC 13, and that was the last UFC that allowed you to fight barefisted.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Like, I don't want to ask, but I kind of do. How many times have you broken your knuckles?
Just once.
Just once?
This knuckle right here.
Oh my gosh.
But after that, I've trained my hands and I got it real strong. So I haven't broken a hand since.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Breaking a bone sucks. I think I've broken 11 bones, skateboarding, BMXs, car wrecks. Yeah. It's never fun. Never a good time to break a bone. You know, the worst bone to break, I don't know if you can agree with me on this, but the worst bone that I broke out of all the bones, collarbones, ribs, arms, wrists, fingers, the worst bone that I ever broke was my big toe in 2 places. It was the worst. Of course, it was a stupid BMX accident, but oh my gosh. Yeah. For like 6 weeks, walking was incredibly painful. Every time you walk, and you have no idea how often you move your big toe. Nobody thinks about moving your big toe, but whenever you walk, whenever you sneeze, whenever you like turn your head, for some reason that big toe goes boop, like that. It was the worst.
Wow. I never thought of that.
Yeah, but you probably never broke any big toes or any toes in like MMA or anything, right? That's not usually the bone that breaks. Well, wait,
no, I haven't.
Yeah. People must break their toes when they kick, though, right?
Oh, they must. Yeah, but I have never.
Yeah. All right. Well, you're lucky. Don't break a big toe. Stay away from those BMX bicycles. They're dangerous.
I will.
You have a lot of gyms currently, like in Japan and other parts of the world.
Yes.
Yes. What kind of gyms do you have? Are they like weightlifting gyms? Like, are they boxing gyms, MMA gyms, or?
They're all MMA gyms. The only gym that I actually built and I'm affiliated with it's not MMA is the Muay Thai gym in Thailand.
Muay Thai, cool. And which countries do you have gyms in?
I have in Thailand, Guam, Saipan, and Hawaii, and a lot of affiliates in the USA. And I also have a purebred in Malaysia.
Wow. You must have the best business trips in the world. Oh my!
I love it when I go visit my gyms.
Oh my God. It's like the best. It's the best food. Like out of all those countries, I'm like, oh yeah, the food there is great. Yeah, the food there is great too. Oh, Thailand. Oh, I love Thai food. Oh my goodness. How do you stay so fit? That's ridiculous. I just be eating so much. I'm like, this is a business trip. I'm writing everything off.
I can't say I stay fit, but I try.
Yeah, me too. Oh my goodness. That must be absolutely amazing. And of course, you got a gym in Japan too, right?
Yes.
Of course. Cool. And what's the name of the gym in Japan? Just in case we got a lot of people.
Purebred.
Purebred. Yes, that's right. That's a good name, man. You're pretty good with the names for companies. You should work in advertising.
Thank you.
You've been in Japan for a very long time. And in your time in Japan, you've done some very incredible things for the good people of Japan and for the country. And one thing that I read that really, really kind of made me almost feel emotional was that after the 2011 earthquake, which was a horrible, horrible situation in the country of Japan, the beautiful country that we live in, a lot of bad things happened in the Tohoku area. A lot of buildings, a lot of people passed away. But as soon as that happened, you went there. And when you went there, you helped people, you passed on food, you brought people to safety. I mean, you were basically Superman. I mean, what you did was absolutely incredible. But then you left Tohoku and then you came back to Tokyo for a bit, or Saitama, and then you returned. Can you tell me about when you returned? Can you tell me about that?
Well, yeah, I actually, to date, I've actually had 62 trips up north.
Wow.
So I would go, it was all in different phases. First, they were in evacuation centers, needed food. Mm-hmm. Then they moved to temporary housing. Mm-hmm. And they needed the basic necessities like water, body soap, shampoo, toothpaste.
Yeah.
And then now they're moved back into their houses, which still has the same amount of radiation. And I actually lost touch with them. So now my missions now are more towards the orphanage that I have a relationship with in Fukushima. So we buy the orphan shoes every year.
That is amazing.
About 57 of them.
That's fantastic. And can some of our listeners, well, not some, can all of our listeners, hey, I'm talking to you guys out there, listeners and people watching, how can they support you and your cause?
Well, I have an Enson Inoue Foundation that the funds are used all for the people up north. So you can, make a donation there. That's probably the most direct way to help with my association.
That's fantastic. Awesome. Okay, I'll put that down in the show notes. Faders, go down in the show notes. And also, you went up there and you not only helped like the good people of Tohoku, but you also helped animals. Is that correct?
Yes, we went into the exclusion zone where the radiation was high. We actually snuck into the zone.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Oh, well, actually, I went in. I went in through another name.
All right. Anyway, so you went up north, and what did you do?
We brought buckets of dog food and mixed it up with wet food and dry food, and we went around the town, driving around, finding animals and feeding them. And it was bittersweet because they would come out to eat, but we couldn't bring them out, so we had to leave them. Yeah. So it was nice to see that we were feeding their hunger, but it was sad to know that we couldn't bring them with us.
Yeah, I can imagine. That must have been really hard. But I think like when I read about that, I was just like, oh my goodness, that is like, I mean, during that time, everybody was doing everything they could to support the good people of Tohoku. I mean, I had a couple of art shows and we donated the money, and everybody was just doing everything and anything they could to support and help out. And for you to go up there and help all these people, that was just amazing. But not even that, just that you actually went back on your dime with a truckload of dog food, and you spent days feeding like homeless or displaced dogs and even cats. That is awesome, because I mean, for all the feeders that have been listening to the show for a long time, I love animals. Dogs, cats, rabbits, ferrets. I've had them all. And so that was really powerful. When I read that, I was like, man, this guy really is Superman. Man. Okay. All right. Moving forward to my next question. Okay, I got to ask you about this. I was debating if I should ask you about this, but I was just like, I'm going to do it. Okay, you worked for Vice Magazine, Vice Online, Vice SNS or whatever. And Vice, you did a show called Vice versus Punk versus Hip Hop.
Yeah.
That was an interesting concept. I had no idea. I was kind of rolling around the internet, and then I found that I was like, punk versus hip hop with Vice, and Enson's in it. I got to check this out. And I watched it, and it was actually pretty interesting. How did that start?
Well, I got a call from Vice, and they wanted me to be a part of their show. And it was interesting because what they did was they had two rival, groups that, not like gangs or anything, but they're rival groups that they're like different types of music.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this, but I guess there's a little bit of a rivalry between hip hop and punk.
What? Yeah, I didn't even know that either until I saw it.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of like rock and hip hop, kind of like Run DMC and Aerosmith. Remember that Walk This Way video?
Walk This Way.
Yeah. They're all fighting, and then at the end they become friends and they start dancing around and everything's cool. I thought I was like, punk rock. Those guys are tough. I know some punk rock guys. You don't want to mess with them.
Yeah. So apparently punk rock and hip hop have a little bit of a spat going. Not that we don't know of, us normal people don't know of.
Yeah. Wow. That was wild. I liked your first episode. That was great. Faders, it's in YouTube. Just Google it. And no spoilers. Who won? No spoilers. Let's keep it to ourselves. I saw it, of course, but yeah, I was impressed. I was surprised too, to be honest. But that was good. So they just called you up and said, we got this great concept. hip hop versus punk. And you're like, I like hip hop. I like punk. I like fighting. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. It was interesting. Yeah. I mean, I could train them, and I trained them and watch the fights and watch the interactions. It was really fun. It was a good experience. Vice did a really good show on that, and it was interesting to be a part of it.
Yo, faders, the holiday season is slowly creeping up, and there's only one way to stay ahead of present panic, and that's by shopping for the holidays early. This year, don't stress about finding something cool for your friends, family, and or significant other. Get something special and unique by commissioning an original popsicle painting from yours truly, or by purchasing a masterpiece from the Spilt Inks website. Yo, that's right. Look down in Got Faded Japan's episode notes and click on the Spilt Inks website link and take a look around and find something exciting. So this year, forget about the holiday rush, forget about stress, and forget about stressing on getting a cool present for that special person. This year, take care of yourself. And you can only take care of yourself by getting an original piece of artwork that's gonna last you and or that significant other, friend, family, boss, neighbor, enemy, whatever, that's gonna last them a lifetime. All right, Saito-san, cut off the Christmas music. It's not even December yet.
Are you at Harajuku with some out-of-town friends or your family or significant others? Yeah! Do you want to chill and drink beer and eat sandwiches while your friends overpay for glitter unicorn socks?
Yeah! And the flavor's gonna make you complete at Harry's Sandwich Company.
So come on down to Harry's Sandwich Company in the heart of Harajuku, right off Takeshita Street. See you there!
Mitsuya Liquors. Yo, what's up, faders? If you're in Asia, if you're in Japan, if you're in Tokyo, if you're in Asagaya, you better get down to Mitsuya Liquors. That's right, for the most affordable prices in Japan, you can get over 300 different kinds of beer. That's right, over 300 different kinds of beer. And of course, they got all the shochu you need, all the sake you need, and of course, they got wine from California to Italy to France to New Zealand. They got it all. When I say they got it all, they really, seriously got it all. There's no joke about that. So get down to Mitsuya Liquors. And if you go in there and you say, Got Faded Japan, you will be more than welcome to go into their back room and drink those beers that you just purchased. That's right, Got Faded Japan at Mitsuya Liquors. And 3 times a week, they have a sushi chef there. So get your sushi on, get your drink on, get your fade on, and come on down to Mitsuya Liquors, located comfortably in Asagaya, about 5-minute walk from the station. Mitsuya Liquors.
In Tokyo and craving soul food? We've got just the place for you. Soul Food House in Azabu Juban. Check out what we do at soulfoodhouse.com. Come by and taste the love. We look forward to feeding you.
You walked across the country of mainland Japan. How was that, and how many pairs of shoes did you go through?
I went through just one pair. I used the same pair throughout the whole walk. And yeah, it was a trek from north to south, and it was 1,360 miles. And it took us 68 days.
68 days. Oh my goodness. That is incredible. And how did you, and why did you start this? Like, I mean, I've heard of people riding their bicycles, like Mama Cherries and all sorts of bicycles from Tokyo to Osaka. And I've actually heard of one guy named Barefoot Rob that walked from the south part of Yokohama all the way up to Niigata north, which took him a month. But I've never heard of anybody walking completely directly across Japan from left to right or west to east.
Yeah, I mean, it was done to raise money for the people up north. We did it where people would pledge, say a penny a mile or 10 cents a mile, depending what they wanted to pledge. And I did it because I wanted to put myself in the same situation of the people up north and show them that without the help of other people, we wouldn't be able to make it. So the specifications of the walk was that I didn't buy any food or water and didn't spend any money on any hotels or anything. So, of course, we got put up, we got fed, and without the help of the people, we would have never made it across. So, yeah, that was the reason why I did that. And You asked me about my shoes.
Yeah.
This is the shoes I used on the walk.
Oh my goodness. They still look brand new. That's crazy. No, I'm joking. Wow.
And I also did the pilgrimage, Shikoku pilgrimage, and this is the shoe I used at Shikoku pilgrimage.
Oh my God, they're trophies. That's incredible. Enson, that's awesome.
That's me on the pilgrimage, and you can see the shoes right there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I got them side by side in my shop.
Wow. Holy smokes. Because everybody that comes into your shop, they're like, hey, why are the shoes up there? Now you got a great story to tell them. That's amazing.
Yeah, I had a couple plus customers every trip that I come back. They ask me, what are those shoes doing up there?
Like, I know in Japan you take off your shoes, but do you really put them on a shelf?
Take them off and put them on the wall.
Well, that's where I put mine. Oh, man. Very cool. Very cool. All right. And my last few questions. Okay. All right. You're doing a lot of sauna therapy and you're doing cold plunge therapy.
Yes.
Let's talk about that for a second. I'm in.
I'm addicted to that, man. I mean, if you Google benefits to cold therapy, there's so many benefits. I mean, not just mentally, but physically, emotionally. And I read about it, I tried it out, and I got so addicted to it that there's rarely a day I go without a cold plunge. I usually every day I start my day every day in a cold plunge. I took a trip to Vegas a couple weeks ago, and I didn't have anywhere to cold plunge, so that was the only time I did it without a cold plunge. But other than that, when I'm in Japan, I built a cold plunge at my house.
Yeah.
And I start my day with a cold plunge. And, that's, if you notice my social media, to kill time, I do a lot of, talking in it, like my ideas. If I went through a situation I want to talk about, I do it in the cold plunge to pass the time.
That is fantastic. Yeah. Every time your Instagram pops up, I always see you cold plunging. I'm like, wow, man, that is brave. That is brave. Yeah, I took a cold shower once when I forgot to push the heater button, because in Japan, you got to push the heater button. And I'm like, what is going on here? But I'll tell you what, when I got out of that shower, it was actually, I was very awake, very sharp, very focused. It was actually better than a cup of coffee. And I was very cold.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Man. And so there's so many benefits. How long have you been doing this? 6
months now, every day.
Wow, 6 months. And from when you started it to now, you can tell a major difference?
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely a major difference. And, I'm looking forward to going back to Japan because it's going to be the winter. So
it's getting cold.
I've never really done in the winter before. I was always jumping in from the hot summers and getting in the cold. I think that's going to be a lot harder to already be cold and have to jump in the cold water. So we'll see.
Well, you know what? Like some people here have been saying that this is going to be a warm winter, and other people have been saying that it's going to be a very, very cold winter. So maybe if you go outside, to take the cold plunge, that water might be warmer than being outside.
Maybe it might be. I think Saitama, where I live, the water the temperature that I have my water at now is probably going to be a lot colder.
Wow. And what's the coldest that you've plunged at?
Celsius 0 degrees.
That's cold. This is 0. I was expecting maybe 10. 0.
0 degrees for 3 minutes.
Wow. That's wild. And I know a lot of athletes do this now, like a lot of football players, basketball players.
Oh, game changer.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. That's really interesting. And okay, you also do sauna therapy, and I love saunas. I stayed in Finland for well over a month when I was in high school, and that's a long story. And in Finland, at least back then, from my understanding, every apartment, every house has a sauna built into it, So I loved it. Lots of fun. Good times. But
all right.
Tell me about the benefits of saunas and heat therapy.
Yeah, sauna also has a lot of benefits. It also, it's good recovery for the muscles. And it also, for me, it helps me sleep. I mean, I usually do the sauna at night before sleep. And it really helps me sleep well. and I get a good sweat, get the toxins out of my body. I mean, there's so much benefits to it. If you Google sauna therapy benefits, there's a lot there, good benefits to it.
Yeah. And actually in Japan, it's kind of popular now. It's kind of a sauna boom, which is really good.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So I got one at my house, infrared.
So in the morning, you do extreme cold. And then in the evening, you do extreme heat. So you're kind of like, it's kind of like the McDLT of like body training, I guess. Do you remember the McDLT?
Yeah,
the hot stays hot, the cold stays cold.
There's definitely so many health benefits to both cold therapy and sauna therapy. And, at my age now, at 56, I'm really wanting to take care of my health.
Yeah.
I'm past that age where I'm young and I think I can conquer everything.
Yeah, you don't look 56 at all. I thought we're kind of the same age a little bit. I was like, I know you're a little older than me because you told me the year you were born, but I'm bad with math. I'm like, oh, yes, we probably went to high school together. All right. Excellent, man. Yeah. Whoa. So I got to start doing that, man. I mean, you look young. You look really young, man. That's awesome. Very cool. Okay. And all right. I'm going to kick myself in the butt if I don't ask this question, but the last time we talked about fish, and you had a very, very beautiful fish tank, and you had a lot of fish swimming around. How are the fish?
They're good. They're happy. My wife Sarah's been taking care of them for me, and she always sends me videos of them. She sends me videos of her feeding them, and I get to see the fish. I get to see my fish being good, being fed, being taken care of.
Oh, there you go. There it is. Oh man, that's awesome. Look at that, dude.
So right now, currently, I have about 150 kois.
Yeah, that is amazing. They're great fish, man. That's fantastic.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I had a fish tank, a big fish tank when I was a kid in high school. And I just fell in love with fish. I just so like relaxing and mesmerizing watching them swim around and just they're
therapy,
all
fish therapy.
Yeah, fish therapy. There you go. Oh my goodness. Oh man. Well, thank you so much for being on Got Fitted Japan. I know you're super busy, so I'm just going to kind of let you go and stuff. But it's a pleasure to have you here once again. And I'm really glad that you got to just tell the faders all the wonderful things that you're doing and all the places that you've been. And speaking of, all right, we talked about the past with the present. What about the future? Oh, boy.
The future?
The future.
The future is I'm training students now. Mm-hmm. And hopefully I can get a student that's going to be a big world champion again someday. So, I'm spending a lot of time training students.
Oh, that's marvelous. Absolutely fantastic. Well, you know what? I think MMA is great, but there's no way I can train, man. Well, I can train, but there's no way I can fight. Yeah. I don't know. I'm past my prime. Seriously, that's what my doctor says. He says, Johnny, on the outside, you look good, but on the inside, ooh. And I'm like, wait, is that ooh or is that ooh? Like I'm kind of confused with this ooh.
What ooh is that? Yeah.
He's like, it's not the good ooh. I'm like, oh man, I got to start eating broccoli and drinking water more. Ooh. Oh man. All right. Well, Enson, thank you so much for being on the show. Faders, thank you so much for tuning into this very, very special episode of Got Fitted Japan. Enson's all his SNS and everything that he does and supports will be down in the show notes. Go down there, check it out, support him. He's doing great stuff. And go to his shop. If you go to Hawaii on vacation or if you're going there on business, check out his shop and stuff. Look at his shoes. He's got a lot of great stuff there. And I will definitely see you there. Faders, thank you so much. And hook up Got Fitted Japan on SNS if you get a chance. That'd be great too. We'll catch you next time. Peace.
Right on.
My own brother, a goddamn shit-sucking vampire. Oh, you wait till Mom finds out, buddy.
I've got a government job to abuse and a lonely wife to fuck.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
God, the pressure! I can't take it! I can't take it! I can't stand to it!
You sure I should do this, man?
We're going freaking! We came, we saw, we kicked his ass!
Your move, creep.
Oh, man. I will never forgive your ass for this shit. This is some fucked up repugnant shit.
Fuck it, dude. Let's go bold.